Good morning. In today's lesson, we're going to learn how to find percentages of an amount. Just like the last lesson, there's a lot of content in this one, so we've given you 3 days to complete the work. What is a fraction? A fraction represents part of a whole, which we should all know by now. Who can remember what a percentage is from yesterday? A percentage represents parts per hundred. Now that we've reminded ourselves what a percentage is, we're going to learn how to find percentages of an amount. The easiest way to find a percentage of an amount is by using our fraction equivalents, which we learnt how to do in the last lesson. In this question, Eva says that 50% is equivalent to a half. So, to find 50% of an amount, I can divide by 2. And the reason that we can divide by 2 is because 2 is the denominator in the fraction. And do you remember, when we were finding fractions of an amount, or using fractions to divide, we always divide by the denominator. We're going to use Eva's method to complete the following sentences. You'll see on the left of the screen, I have converted the percentages into fractions for us. So, 25% becomes 25 hundredths, because when we convert a percentage into a fraction, we first need to put the percentage over 100, because percent means parts per hundred. Therefore, 25% becomes 25 hundredths, which is the same as a quarter when we divide both the numerator and the denominator by 25. For 10%, we put the 10 over 100, 10 hundredths, and this is equivalent to 1/10 when we divide both the numerator and the denominator by 10. Then for 1%, we put 1 over 100 because there are 1 parts per hundred. Now we don't need to find an equivalent fraction. We don't need to simplify it because we can't make 1 any smaller than it already is. Once we've found these equivalent fractions, we can work out what we need to divide our number by. 25% is equivalent to 1 quarter. To find 25% of an amount, we need to divide by 4. 10% is equivalent to 1/10. So to find 10% of an amount, we need to divide by 10. 1% is equivalent to 1/100th. So to find 1% of an amount, we divide by 100. Let's use this method to work out the answers to the questions below. Remember, you are going to need to find fraction equivalents of all the percentages shown. If you're unsure what the fraction equivalent would be, you can always rewind this video a bit and take a note of them to help you answer these questions. I'm going to ask you to pause this video so that you can find the percentages of these amounts. Pause now. Nice and simple, right? 50% of 300 is 150, 50% of 30 is 15, 50% of 60 is 30. 25% of 300 is 75, 25% of 30 is 7.5, and 25% of 60 is 15. 10% of 300 is 30, 10% of 30 is 3, and 10% of 60 is 6. And finally, 1% of 300 is 3, 1% of 30 is 0.3, and 1% of 60 is 0.6. Now that you've completed some do's, let's have a look at this think. Mo says to find 10%, you divide by 10. So to find 50%, you divide by 50. This question is asking us if we agree, and we need to explain why. Remember, when we are finding percentages of amount, we need to use our fraction equivalents and then divide using the denominator. Knowing this, what do you think? Pause the video and have a go at this question yourself. We'll then do the question together in a moment. Pause the video now. From what we've learnt during this lesson already, we know that 10% is the same as dividing by 10. That part is correct. However, 50% is equivalent to a half. So to find 50%, you divide by 2. This is why Mo is wrong. He's used his logic, but it's the wrong way to find a percentage of an amount. We're now going to use all the facts that we know about finding percentages of an amount to help us find percentages of an amount that are a little bit more tricksy. Mo knows that to find 10%, we divide by 10, and we should all know this as well. He uses this fact that he knows to work out other percentages. Mo has used a bar model to find 30% of 220. He knows that 10% of 220 is 22 because he's divided by 10. So 30% of 220 is 3 times 22. This answer is 66. Can you see how he found 10% first? And then 10 times 3 is 30. So to find 30%, he multiplies his answer by 3 to get 66. I would like you to use this exact same method to have a go at these ones at the bottom of the screen. Remember, we need to find 10% first. How do we find 10%? Pause the video now and have a go at finding 40% of 220, 20% of 110, 30% of 440 and 90% of 460. You are allowed to use other things that you have learnt in maths to help you do this. So when you're dividing or multiplying, remember you can always use long multiplication or short multiplication to help you. Pause the video now to have a go at these questions at the bottom of your screen yourself. We've just learnt how to find percentages of an amount when the percentage is a multiple of 10. We're now going to find percentages of an amount where the percentage is not a multiple of 10. On the screen, these 3 questions are asking us to find 5% of a number. We need to divide by 10 and then divide by 2. This is because we first need to find 10%, so we divide by 10. And because 5% is half of 10%, we divide that answer by 2. Let's have a go at A together. 10% of 140 equals 14, because 140 divided by 10 is 14. Therefore, 5% of 140 equals 7, because 14 divided by 2 equals 7. Now I'd like you to have a go at B and C yourselves. Have a little look at C though. What would we need to do here first to be able to answer this question? You're going to need to convert 1 metre and 80 centimetres into centimetres. 1 metre and 80 centimetres is the equivalent of 180 centimetres. This will help you answer this question. Pause the video now and have a go at B and C yourselves. Remember, you're going to need to find 10% first and then divide this by 2. Now that we've learnt how to find 5%, we're going to use this to work out other percentages of amounts. We're going to use our trick of finding 10% first to help us answer these questions. Once we've found 10%, we can use this to help us work out 5% of each amount. And then for the second question, 30%, and the third question, 60%. We'll then need to add our answers together. Let's have a look at the first one together. 15% can be partitioned into 10% add 5%. Partitioning means basically to split a number up. Once we've split or partitioned our percentage, we can work out what the value of each part is. 10% of 60 metres equals 6 metres. 5% of 60 metres equals 3 metres. Because 6 divided by 2 equals 3. Now that we've found 10% and 5%, we're going to add them together to make 15%. So 6 metres add 3 metres equals 9 metres. Therefore, 15% of 60 metres equals 9 metres. You're going to need to use exactly the same method to work out 35% of 300 grams and 65% of 20 pounds. Remember, the first thing you're going to need to do is partition the percentage. So 35% would become 30 and 5%, 65% would become 60 and 5%. You'll then use your knowledge of how to work out 10% of 300 grams and 10% of 20 pounds to find 30%, 5%, 60% and 5%. Remember that once you have partitioned your percentages, you do need to add your values together, just like I did in the first one. Pause the video now so that you can have a go at this question yourself. If you get stuck, rewind the video and watch how I worked out 50% of 60 metres. Let's have a go at a think now. 4 children in a class were asked to find 20% of an amount. This is what they did. Whitney divided by 5 because 20% is the same as 1/5. Amir found 1% by dividing by 100. Then he multiplied his answer by 20. Alex found 10% and added another 10%. And Jack found 10% by dividing by 10. Then he multiplied his answer by 2. This question is asking us to do 2 things. The first is to think about who has the most efficient method, and we need to explain why. Now, efficient basically means in the least amount of steps and the quickest in this context. The second thing we need to do is think about who will end up getting the answer incorrect. So who's going to get it wrong? This question's a bit cruel because actually all the methods are acceptable ways of finding 20%. Each child finds 20%, but they just do it in different ways that they find easiest. But which one is the most efficient? Whitney is the only one who is only doing one step. The only thing that she is doing is dividing by 5. Therefore, we could say that Whitney is probably the most efficient. The question then asks us, who do we think will end up getting the answer incorrect? And there's multiple answers to this. Amir, Alex and Jack are all doing more than one step in their answers, and therefore they all have the possibility and the potential to get the answer wrong. The only person who's likely to not get it wrong and to get the answer right is Whitney, because she's only doing one step to find her answer. Now, the reason I really wanted to show you this problem was because in maths there's often more than one way to find an answer. So far in this lesson, I've shown you how to find 10% of an amount and use that knowledge to help you find other percentages of amount. But this is just one way. I'd love you to try and use this method because it is often the easiest way to find a percentage amount. However, you could use a different method if you find this easier. The most important thing is that you remain consistent in the method that you use. So try and make sure that you use the same method every single time that you find a percentage of an amount. There is one thing though that you really need to remember when you answer these types of questions, finding percentages of amounts. You do need to find the fraction equivalent because this tells you what number you need to divide by. You've come to the end of this lesson. There's going to be an opportunity for you to answer do, think and explore questions. If going through this video and pausing and answering questions has taken an hour, feel free to start the do, think and explore questions tomorrow. As this lesson is done on a video, you can rewatch it as many times as you need to until you understand what you're supposed to be doing. Please do remember to take photos of any work that you complete, or if you've typed your answers into the Word documents provided, do please add this as work, as your teachers want to see all of the learning that you have gotten up to. Good luck with this lesson. You can pause the video now and get on with the do's, thinks and explores. Bye! Slight side note for those of you who have made it this far, I'm so sorry that these videos are so awkward and that I sound so posh when I'm talking. I'm trying to be really clear in my explanations because I understand that watching a video isn't the easiest way to learn. So yes, I'm very sorry for this. I hope that you're managing to understand what is being said, but if you do get stuck, please remember that you can always email us and we'll try and support you as best as we can. We really miss you all and we can't wait for you to come into lessons so that we can teach maths in a much easier and more fun way. Good luck with the maths today and you'll hear from me soon.